echoes through Southern California. It's the second game of a four-game series between the Marlins and the San Diego Padres. Always nice to be here. Terrific weather, albeit a little cloudy tonight, but still looking forward to some baseball. With that, we say hi again, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. Marlins coming off a win yesterday afternoon, a Memorial Day victory over the San Diego Padres, and once again, Caleb Smith was terrific as a starting pitcher, and that's kind of been the theme the last couple of weeks for the Marlins.
Well, Don Mattingly talks about it. Listen, it's been in baseball since baseball has started over 100 years ago. I mean, you pitch well, you got a chance to win a baseball game, and it all comes down to your starters. It's what they've been doing well. Look at the numbers. 2.49 ERA. What's that set you up for? Whether you're going up against a good team, a mediocre team, a bad team, you got a chance to win. It's how the game of baseball really works. The more starting pitching you have, the better chance you got to have going to the playoffs.
And the good news is they've got another starting pitcher going tonight, Dan Straley, who seems to be getting better and better and better with every start back.
No doubt about it. The arsenal's really starting to open itself up. We've seen a great changeup. We've seen the slider. It's really working. Again, I think back to even Caleb's start yesterday, Caleb Smith's start, the great mix that he had. Dan's been doing exactly the same thing. He's got good vibes from a start here last year. I think this is a great setup for a great outing from Straley, where we may see a few strikeouts as well.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that you're up here and not in uniform, because it seems like anybody who swings a bat left-handed is going to be in the lineup tonight with these two starting pitchers, with Tyson Ross on the other side for San Diego.
And that's absolutely right. You know, you look at the numbers, and it's as simple as that, right? 142 against the right-handed hitters, 128 for Dan Straley. So both these guys today have devastating sliders. They both use it a lot. Tyson Ross, how about the slider usage? 45% of the time, almost to the exact same spot, the strike zone, just seeing if hitters can hit it. So far this season, not many have.
Absolutely right. And for Tyson Ross, a much better bounce-back season this year than last year with the Texas Rangers. More on those numbers in just a little bit. We are getting set for the second game of this four-game series between the Marlins and the Padres. And let's not forget, it's a Twitter Tuesday as we focus in on the 25th anniversary of Marlins baseball. Much more after the break. To Jessica Blaylock.
Hey, Paul, this season we are celebrating 25 years of Marlins baseball. In fact, the 25th anniversary celebration at Marlins Park is right around the corner. It is coming up June 8th through 10th in a 3-game series where the Marlins will host the San Diego Padres. So tonight for our email and Twitter Tuesday, it is all about the hashtag Marlins25. We want to know what have been your best memories and best moments from Marlins baseball over the past few decades. You know what to do. As always, send those emails to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Those tweets can go to @FoxMarlins, and be sure to use that hashtag Marlins25. Now, growing up, the Marlins' very own Lewis Brinson was a huge fan of the team. I caught up with him today and asked him what were some of his favorite moments from being a Marlins fan.
Go ahead, Zach.
Definitely around for the 2003 team. You know, probably from like 2000 to 2004 or 5. Really watched the team, and obviously the memory of winning the World Series. I didn't stay up the entire time, but woke up the next morning and my parents told me that they won. So, I was very excited for that, and Marlins being my favorite team growing up. So, that's probably my favorite memory. 2003 World Series. I was like prime time for me, following the Marlins and going to games and stuff.
Definitely a good memory for a lot of Marlins fans. So be sure to get those moments and memories in. Again, you can send those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Those emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com and use that hashtag Marlins25. Coming up next, it is Game 2 of a 4-game series between the Padres and the Marlins. Marlins looking for another win.
Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. By South Florida Ford. And your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Just outside the ballpark here at Petco Park. Gaslamp District here in San Diego. It's the Marlins and it's the Padres. Glad you're with us. And thanks for staying up late. For us, it's just a little after 7 o'clock local time, but back home a little after 10. So again, thanks for putting on a late pot of coffee to watch some Marlins baseball today. It's presented to you by Southwest. Don Mattingly's lineup. Derek Dietrich is in there at the top of the order. JT Realmuto hits second today. There is no Starlin Castro, just a day for him, just a day for Miguel Rojas as well. So back-to-back starts for Yadiel Rivera, who is at second base today after a multi-hit game in yesterday's opener of this 4-game set. So again, a lot of Lefties in the lineup with Derek Dietrich at the top to face Tyson Ross, who makes his 11th start.
Yes, he is. 31 years old, 6'6", 245 pounds. He has kind of found himself as a Padre once again. He had a great run, 2013, 14, and 15. Had surgery, missed some time, came back with the Rangers last year. Things didn't go well. Makes his way back to San Diego, and yeah, he's found it. He's doing very, very well. Padres have won 7 of his 10 starts.
The first pitch to Derek Dietrich is outside. There's Miguel Rojas. He is ready when asked.
Well, he's doing his best Dietrich right now. Did you notice it?
I did.
That's Dietz. That's his batting practice stance. That's that red ball he puts in there.
Right.
And he works on his swing that way, and Miggy's having a little fun with it.
The purpose of that ball is what?
I don't know.
Okay. Is it to keep the elbow in, like when a golfer puts the towel?
He doesn't put it underneath his elbow. He actually puts it kind of like in his bicep. So I'm not. Maybe that's just a kind of. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he's going with it. I've done the drill you described. I haven't done this one. Every time he swings, he loses it. So.
Well, I'm sure there's a point. I'm sure there's a point to it, and it certainly helped him yesterday. He was 1 for 1 with a double and an RBI off the bench, and a hit in the last 4 games against San Diego. As you'll see, a 2-2 pitch from Tyson Ross, and that one is grounded foul. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, I think the pitch hit yesterday was real indicative of where Dietrich is with his swing right now. We've seen some power, obviously, over the last week or so, but his double to left drove it off the left field wall after fouling off a couple of tough pitches.
That one is in the dirt, and the count runs full. Now, Ross gets the start today. Born in Berkeley, California, went to the University of California. He has bounced around a little bit in his career, but as Holly mentioned, back with the Padres and off to a terrific start here in 2018. And called strike 3. Derek Dietrich is retired.
All right, let's give you the AutoNation scouting report of Tyson Ross and get things in order before we get too far along. He's back. 500 innings of 3 ERA baseball, excuse me, from 2013 to 2015. So lots of success. You just mentioned it. Listen, this is a bit of the fountain of youth. He's now back. He's done a fantastic job. I'll even say that he's basically the ace of this Padres staff right now. He's gone 6 innings in 9 of 10 starts this year, 100+ pitches in 5 consecutive outings. Here's the difference. He's kind of reinvented himself. Now you see that right there. What he was in 13 through 15 was a sinker slider guy. Now he is a slider sinker guy. That slider thrown 45% of the time. Now the K zone, that's kind of what I'm keying in on. Now you saw it against Dietrich. He threw the slider. Obviously it was away to the lefty, but he likes to bury it. He wants to throw it at the lefty's back foot and away from the righty. That's kind of his go-to spot.
Real Muto with a line drive out to center field. Manuel Margot puts it away for the second out.
Here's the Padres defensively for tonight's ball game. Jankowski gets the start in left, Margot in center, Reyes in right, Spangenberg at third base, Galvis, Perella, Hosmer, Lopez gets the start behind the plate for Tyson Ross.
Andy Green, 3rd year as the skipper here in San Diego. Trying to turn things around here in Southern California. It's been a rough few years. They have gone 11 consecutive seasons without a trip to the postseason. But they are certainly excited about what is to come. That's one of the reasons why they signed Eric Hosmer. Wanted him to be a centerpiece of this franchise going forward. As Justin Bohr takes a called strike, 1-1. Bohr yesterday 2 for 4, runs scored and a double.
Yeah, that sequencing with Ross. Now I continue to reference the 13 through 15 seasons here in San Diego. Another good look at the slider. He throws it near 45% of the time. Now he's lost a little bit on the sinker in that 4-seamer combination. When he was pre-surgery throwing about 94 miles an hour. Now you're going to see 91 to 92.
Big guy, 6'6", 245, and delivers the 2-2 pitch. And that to the right side, going to have to be quick. Perella with the glove, and in and out of the glove of Hosmer. Bohr reaches with 2 outs.
The big guy came out flying. There aren't too many infield hits for JB. He's going to take it. How about it? Able to get some contact out in front of home. Gets it over Tyson Ross's head. His only opportunity is to flip it with his glove. Doesn't get a whole lot on it.
An infield single for Justin Bohr. And in steps Brian Anderson, who has been red hot as of late, hitting .327 with 8 runs scored over his last 14 games. He takes a called strike. Home plate umpire tonight is Jim Wolf. Ryan Blackney is at first. Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief, is at second, and DJ Rayburn is the umpire at third. Couple of hits yesterday for Brian Anderson. 15th multi-hit game this season. At second on the club to Starlin Castro's 16.
It's all major league rookies in hits. He's been hot of late. It's been a very good bat, especially on this road trip. I guess I'm kind of blending the two together. I forget that we went home for 3 days. We did, didn't we?
You're right. Yeah, right.
I know I just threw road trip out, and we technically have only been on the road for a day.
That's true. I think anytime you live out of a suitcase, it's technically a road trip if you really want to get crazy. And that's basically what happened. Did laundry, went right back in the suitcase. Called strike on the edge. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That is the area of the plate the right-handed Marlins hitters are really going to have to focus in on tonight. As I mentioned in K-Zone, getting back to the scouting report, half of his strikeouts, there's 32 of the 65 strikeouts, so just a little bit under, but you know my point, have come in that exact spot, just off that outside corner, which tells you it's almost always going to be the slider.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. So Ross works around the 2-out single. Now Dan Straley will toe the slab here in San Diego. Bottom of the first inning, Dan Straley on the mound tonight for Miami. This is the lineup that he will face. The Padres order presented to you by Southwest. A little bit of a different look than yesterday. Some new names in the starting lineup for Andy Green tonight, including Travis Jankowski at the top of the order, hitting .326 this year. This is a club that's 4-5 in the last 9 games, and sounds like a simple thing. When they win, they score. When they don't, they don't. But that has kind of been the case. 24 runs in the wins, 7 runs in the losses. Dan Straley looking to pile up another L for San Diego.
Well, this is something's got to give tonight, right? I mentioned that the Padres have won 7 of 10 Ross's starts.
A line drive out to left field will fall in front of Dietrich.
All right, well, for Dan Straley, the Marlins have won every one of his starts. That's what you want to know, and that's certainly what you want to hear. He's been outstanding. Last start at Citi Field versus the Mets, 100 pitches, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. Numbers have been coming down, down, down. Four-seam fastball, slider, changeup. That's what he is going to feature tonight. And it's so interesting. You mentioned the number of lefties. Obviously, the Padres have 5 left-handed batters going up against Dan Straley tonight. The Marlins have countered going up against Ross with 4 lefties. I'll give you the reason right now. Righties are hitting 128 against Dan Straley. Plain and simple. For Ross, 142. So both managers have piled up as many lefties as they can pull in off the streets and got them in the lineup tonight.
So that explains why you took batting practice
well, that's
today,
right.
just in case. A line drive by Spangenberg into center field. That falls in front of Brinson, and back-to-back singles for the Padres to start the first.
Well, let's go ahead and give you the defense for tonight's ball game for the Marlins. Dietrich getting the start in left field. Brinson in center. Schuck gets the start in right field. Anderson, Riddle back at short. Rivera, Bohr, JT Realmuto back behind home plate for Dan Straley. The lefties have stayed inside the baseball for the San Diego Padres against Dan Straley, not trying to do too much. We saw a little bit of that yesterday from them. Some big swings, a lot of early swings. We've seen the early swings, but a little different approach from the Padre lefties.
Here is another lefty, Eric Hosmer, who was 1 for 4 in yesterday's ball game. And he takes a called strike. The hit yesterday snapped an 0 for 12 for their offseason sign, who is in a little bit of a cold snap right now. Last 9 games, he's 6 for 36. That's a 167 average. No extra base hits, no RBIs. But certainly, as we mentioned before, a guy who signed the long-term deal, the big money deal with the Padres, in an effort to certainly solidify the place for this club moving forward with an improved farm system the last couple of years.
Well, what's happened so far, you know, in his new digs is he's struggled at home. He's actually been pretty good on the road this year, hitting .303, but Hosmer at home, .217.
He's got 2 on right now here in the bottom of the first inning. Back-to-back hits from Jankowski and Spangenberg. And now Hosmer with a 3rd consecutive hit for San Diego into center field, and it gets by Brinson. 1 run will score. Here comes the second, and the Padres have a 2-0 lead.
Hosmer lines one into center field. 3rd consecutive hit for the Padres. Brinson being aggressive. He just maybe pulled his head a little bit. It didn't look like it. The glove was down, almost like it hit off the side of it. Ends up through his legs. Padres able to move up a base. Ball may be jumping around out there just a little bit on the grass. That's an issue I used to run into at times when you see that kind of that checker cut. This outfield is here in San Diego. A lot of times the ball will jump back and forth. You can kind of see the checkerboard just kind of around him right there in the outfield. Well, in order to get that look, you've got to have one of those boxes has got to be a little bit longer than the other one. That's essentially how you get the design. But for an outfielder, no bueno.
Well, 3 consecutive hits is the single and an E8. 3 consecutive hits for the Padres, after the Marlins had 5 consecutive hits in the first inning in yesterday's ball game. And now Jose Perella down in the count, 0-1. Ball and a strike to Perella, who was 0 for 4 yesterday. A .318 hitter with runners in scoring position. And he's got Hosmer out at second base right now. Padres already up 2-0. And a called strike makes it 1-2. time that he has allowed runs in the first inning in his 6 starts. In fact, the previous 5 starts have all resulted in Marlins victories. Now, he hasn't gotten the win in each of those games, but the team has. As we mentioned before, it seems like he has gotten progressively better one way or the other, whether it's working deeper into games or more strikeouts or fewer walks, whatever it's been. It has been a step up, as that is caught by Rivera behind the second base bag. He's up quick to get the out at first, and there is one away. Nice job by Yadiel Rivera getting the start today at second base. Keep the ball in the infield and keep Hosmer off the board.
Yeah, beautiful play. Top spin back through the middle. Keep it on the infield. You're absolutely right. It saves him a run there, but it's to get the out. As Dan Strelly not able to get his glove up in time. Yadi made a beautiful play. Good strong throw across the diamond.
Couple of hits yesterday for Rivera when he got the start in the opener, getting the start today to give Castro the day off. And now the infield plays in against Rafi Lopez. Interesting nugget on Rafi Lopez that was in the Padres game notes today. One of 4 players since 2014 to have accrued major league service time with 4 different organizations as a rookie. It seems to be one of the more wild little nuggets with the Cubs, with the Reds, the Blue Jays, and now the Padres as well.
The organization certainly had interest in him, but needed his roster spot. That's usually how that goes. At some point, he doesn't have a whole lot of playing time. In fact, he's still looking for his first hit with runners in scoring position this season. Actually 0 for 6.
Padres have 2 runs in the inning, a base hit and an error leading to those 2 runs. Eric Hosmer away from third. And a line drive, base hit into right field, over the drawn and infield. Hosmer's in to score. And Lopez gives the Padres a 3-0 lead.
Well, when the ball's up in the zone, you have a chance, and this one stays up. See where JT's kind of setting up, trying to get down to the bottom of the zone. Wants that slider down just a bit more for Dan. It came out of his hand pretty decent, but backed up a little bit towards the end, and Lopez able to pick up his first run batted in, runner in scoring position this season.
Well, the last start against the Mets for Dan Strelly, just the solo home run to Brandon Nimmo in the 5th inning. Other than that, that was it for the New York Mets. But here tonight in San Diego, 3 runs across as Franmil Reyes takes upstairs. A ball and no strikes to the right fielder. We hit a home run in last night's ball game, yesterday afternoon's ball game. So a couple of strikeouts. And now 1-1.
Well, oddly enough, I'll say this. Andy Green's lineup structure tonight, jamming all the lefties to the top, has paid dividends already. 4 of his 5 lefties have all gotten base hits tonight. His one righty, Perella, made the only out in the inning.
It's been 4 singles in the inning for the Padres. Coming into this start for Dan Strelly, opponents hitting .204 with 10 extra base hits against him this year. Swung on and missed, and that's the first strikeout for Strelly tonight.
Second out here in the first.
Now there's the wipeout slider. You like to see it from Dan Stralian in a good spot down out of that strike zone. Good life on it. He was unable to hold up.
So here's Freddie Galvis riding a 5-game hit streak. Takes upstairs. He's 6 for 17 rather, with 5 extra base hits on this run. Had a double in yesterday's ball game, and now we'll see a 1-0. Freddie Galvis takes on Dan Straley today, presented to you by AARP. He's 5 for 18. Couple of doubles, a walk, but 7 strikeouts. Now 4 earned runs in the first start of the season for Dan Straley, but 2 or fewer in the 4 starts since. That all equates to a 2.05 ERA in that span. Already given up 3 earned runs in this first inning. Slap to short. It's Riddle. A low throw to Bohr, but an out nonetheless. Padres push 3 runs across in the first against Dan Straley. Through 1 here at Petco.
Celebrate our 25th anniversary weekend with an exclusive teal Life brand t-shirt commemorating Marlins history. For just $20, you'll get our limited edition shirt and a game ticket for June 8th. Visit marlins.com/offers today.
Back for the top of the second, JT Riddle to lead things off. He takes low and in from Tyson Ross. Riddle, Shuck, and Brinson, 5, 6, and 7 due up for the Marlins against Tyson Ross. Work to be done, but of course still very early here in the second inning. A 3 spot in the first inning for the Padres. JT still looking for his first hit since being recalled a few days back after the injury to Martin Prado. excited to be back. We had a chance to talk to him down at the cage today, and glad to be healthy again. Glad to be back up with the big club, as one would imagine.
Well, we certainly know, even from last year, how good he is defensively. He's looking to get going offensively now. Certainly don't want to throw a slow start. He was getting it done at AAA, hitting well above 300. Good production, good swings, a lot of good things coming out in the reports about JT. Once he gets that first hit, that first multi-hit game under his belt, you'll see his swing really start to take off and his timing start to come back. It's always a different dynamic when you go from the AAA stadium to the big leagues. The lights really are brighter up here.
On the ground to second. One away in the second. Well, Tyson Ross, last time out, another quality start for him. Of course, a quality start, 6 innings or more, 3 hits, 3 runs or less. He has 7 of those starts this season, and they have all led to Padres victories. He's also one who works deep into games. 5 consecutive outings. He has gone 100 pitches or more. And this one is grounded to second again. 2 away. Well, coming up in the 3rd inning, we're going to talk to the president of business operations for the Marlins. Chip Bauer is going to join us here in San Diego. Much more on why he's here when he joins us in the 3rd inning. Looking forward to that. Here's Brinson. 0 for 4 in yesterday's ball game and takes a called strike from Ross. So yeah, 5 consecutive outings with 100 or more pitches.
Well, I'm curious. We're going to keep an eye on this tonight. He's coming off a start in which he went 127 pitches. And I wonder if there's any carryover.
It's nice to see that, though, right?
I tend to agree. I'm a bit, I don't know enough of the details. Certainly watched Ross's career. He's had a nice one for the most part. Last couple of seasons have been a little bit more complicated for him. Good to see him, certainly back with the Padres and finding some success. Of course, we'd like to see him get knocked around tonight. Point is this: he's well up over 100 pitches pretty regularly, and I think it's surprising to a lot of people. I think just based on what's happened to him over the last couple of seasons, but kind of resequences his arsenal.
A ground ball up the middle. Galvis spins and throws, but Brinson's able to beat it out. An infield single.
Well, almost a spectacular play by Freddie Galvis. The speed of Brinson gets it done. Sometimes you reach out as a right-handed hitter, you get that extra little cheat step out of the box. He's going to get it right here, right? The slider away. Brinson goes out, puts the ball in play, back through the middle. He's well on his way to his first hit of the night. So a couple of infield hits for the Marlins.
And here's Yadiel Rivera. Again, a couple of hits yesterday. Getting the start in back-to-back games. And it all goes back to the versatility, the positional versatility of Yadiel. A little short, play a little first, play a little second, outfield, all over the place. And in an effort to, spread the wealth a little bit in terms of where the schedule's at right now. A lot of games and not too many days off.
It's a good point, Paul, because here's the thing. Sometimes you earn your starts as a role player on a team with your manager, and if you have a good offensive game, your manager's inclined to I'd like to reward my player with another start the following day. But sometimes if you don't play multiple positions or are able to do that, it can be more difficult to do. I found that out firsthand when I first kind of transitioned into a fourth outfielder, and I was playing and I got a little bit slower towards the end. But in say my 8th or 9th year, I could get those rewards because I could play both corners, I could play at first base, and I certainly could still hold my own in center field. A couple years later, I wasn't doing nearly the same job. And I got a little bit more, dare I say, dimensional, meaning I kind of was getting my starts in left, and that was just about it. Point being, even when I got hotter, I had good games. If he wanted to go back to our left fielder at the time, that meant I had to go park it on the bench. For Rivera, great opportunity. Slide over positions, get another start.
Down the right field line, headed toward the foul pole, but that one slices foul. Catch that one on the fly down there? That young fan, man, nicely done. No glove either. Just off the edge, says the home plate umpire Jim Wolf, and the count runs full. That'll give Brinson a head start at first.
That's a good take. A couple inches off that outside corner.
And yet Hosmer still holding him on in a way. And all for naught as Rivera strikes out to end it. Ross strands a Marlin as we are through an inning and a half. Worth with you here in San Diego. Some Marlins fans, plenty of them here at Petco Park on a bit of a cool night, at least for what's usually advertised for Southern California. Manuel Margot to lead things off, then Tyson Ross and Travis Jankowski, 8, 9, and 1 due up for the Padres as they have a 3-0 lead going to the bottom of the second inning. Margot takes ball one. It was 4 hits in that inning, in that first inning against Dan Straley, and really outside of Hosmer, nothing was a rocket really.
Right, Hosmer is the only one with exit velocity above 100.
That one past Anderson at third, and Riddle at short through the hole. A base hit for Margot to lead off the inning.
Getting back to that first inning, yeah, you're talking about the 4 hits. All 4 were elevated. Now this one, Margot, first hit tonight on the ground.
Already 5 hits surrendered by Dan Straley. Here's Tyson Ross. Marlins expecting a bunt. And Ross squares, lays it down. Real Muto has the one play at first. The sacrifice moves Margot to second.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
So back to the top of the order for Travis Jankowski, who singled and scored in the first inning. He squares to bunt, but doesn't offer, evidently, and takes ball 1. Well, a season high 6 hits allowed by Dan Straley. That came back in his first start off the disabled list against the Philadelphia Phillies back on the 30th of April. He's already given up 5 hits in the first trip through the order tonight.
Well, Jankowski led off with a hit in tonight's game. He's got 7 of the Padres' leadoff singles to start a game, so he's a bit of a catalyst. Well above 325. A full slate of at-bats, but when he's atop this lineup, they are more productive.
.32 pitches, facing his 10th batter of the day. Again, the 3 runs, the 5 hits. What have you seen from Straley tonight that perhaps we haven't seen in his last number of starts?
Well, right now you're seeing a lot of stress. Start right there. A lot of traffic on the bases.
Jankowski lays it down. Real Muto's throw is in time at first base. Boy, oh boy, nice play by Real Muto to get the second out.
My goodness gracious, are you kidding me? Yeah, that is, I can almost bet Jankowski's still frustrated as he's making his way back to the dugout. This is an absolute perfect bunt. Gets it down the third base line. You couldn't teach it any better than what he just did. Flying down the line. JT Realmuto got out from behind home plate, able to spin and throw. Watch this. You can't teach this. It's instinctual, like a shortstop. Huge second out.
I don't know how many more ways we could talk about the athleticism of JT Realmuto, but on display yet again as Corey Spangenberg swings at the first offering from Straley, and it's 0-1.
Now, maybe the best way to say it is something like there's maybe 3 other catchers in the game of baseball that actually make that play. Now you asked, we talked about the stress that Dan Straley has been pitching with because of all the traffic that's been out there, but more specifically, he's been up, generally speaking. The Padres have done a pretty decent job of laying off the bottom of the zone, but what we've seen from Dan tonight really is the slider and the fastball as he's tried to kind of settle in. I haven't seen too much of the changeup until almost just that last pitch. I know he hasn't thrown too many tonight, back to back.
Again, next half inning. Chip Bowers, the president of business operations for the Miami Marlins, in town. So he will join us in the top of the 3rd inning. I know for many fans, an introduction to a new member of the brain trust, of the higher ups, as they may say.
Looks like some better sequencing from Dan Straley. A lot of times he likes to climb up to that top of the strike zone with the fastball, 91, 92 miles an hour. It's trying to trick the hitters. He can't live up there, but he can go up there after kind of setting the hitter's sights down in the zone. He's done that with Spangenberg.
Margot led off the inning with a base hit. The 5th allowed by Straley. Then the sacrifice bunt by Tyson Ross. Jankowski bunting for a hit, but a terrific play by Real Muto. It still moved Margot to third, and that is where Straley is trying to keep him and keep this score at a 3-0 deficit. On the ground to Rivera. Fields throws, and that will do it. So Straley pitches around the leadoff base hit. When we come back, Chip Bowers joins us here in San Diego. Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. To the top of the third, Dan Straley to lead things off, and he takes ball one from Tyson Ross. After Straley, it's Derek Dietrich and JT Realmuto. 9-1-2 due up for the Marlins, down 3-0. After a 3-spot in the first for the Padres, as Straley lines one out to right field for the first out. Well, it's been 6 consecutive wins for the Marlins against the Padres. Faced each other 6 times last year. The Marlins won the last 5. Of course, the win yesterday afternoon in the opener of this 4-game series. A little work to be done here, trailing by 3 in the third. Dietrich at the first pitch. May have taken a funky hop on Hosmer, who steps on the bag. And there are quickly 2 away. Well, one way to work deep into games, as we mentioned with Tyson Ross, is to get quick outs. That's what he's done here in the third. Hit it out of the park with a family-friendly deal June 10th when the Marlins take on the Padres at 1:10. Pick up the Aquafina family 4-pack and score 4 tickets, 4 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs, and 4 Pepsi soft drinks or Aquafina waters, starting at just $84. Get your tickets at marlins.com/offers.
Yeah, let me clean up a little something I threw out a couple innings ago about Ross. He does have that 127 pitch outing. It was April 20th. I mentioned it was his last start. I'm misreading my own notes here. Actually against the Arizona Diamondbacks, but that 127 pitch outing ties in with Trevor Bauer for the most in any start this season. Now, first time through, JT, the best at bat, no doubt. Line drive base, excuse me, line drive to center field. Got a little too much of it. Came into play the last couple of weeks. 14 games, 345, 10 extra base hits, and 9 RBIs. Smacks this one down the right field line, and foul.
That's the thing. He got yesterday off, and we talked about this yesterday. It's like, you know, he's not a machine. He's got to get days off, but you can almost make a case that why? Because he's a catcher. Apparently, it's a taxing position.
But it puts a lot more stress on all of our jobs when he's not in there.
I know. That's the thing. That's why Don Mattingly's the manager. He's able to take the emotion out of it. You know, we see the lineup.
He takes the blame of all of us, right? When we're all like, "Why is JT not in there?" We all ask the question. I mean, it's so funny. It's like the first thing everybody asks him every day. Why is JT playing?
Slow roller to short, and a 1-2-3 third inning for Tyson Ross. We'll head to the last of the third here at Petco with the Marlins down 3-0. San Diego, Mr. Padre Tony Gwynn statue out beyond the center field wall here at Petco Park. A 3-0 deficit right now for the Marlins as we welcome you back inside the broadcast booth. See, we promised our guest in the top of the third, but we knew it was going to be quick, so we said, hang on a second. Let's get you for hopefully a longer inning. The president of business operations with the Marlins, Chip Bauer's kind enough to join us. Chip, always a pleasure. How are you?
Thanks, Paul. I'm great.
Fantastic.
Good to see you.
Great to talk to you, Chip. Thanks for coming up. Now, you know, you have incredible responsibility. So we had Derek up, I think it was opening day, and he gave 4 runs right away. Michael Hill comes up here all the time, and just about every time Michael comes up here, he provides us with a couple of runs. So hopefully you hang out with us for a little bit.
Well, now that Straley's up, my job is to make sure no runs hit the
well, I'm kind of talking about the
exactly.
3 outs from now is where I'm going.
Good.
So I know that you've been out and about in the community at the ballpark. We see you down on the field an awful lot, but this kind of like the first introduction to the fans, at least for those that haven't been at the ballpark just yet. So daily basis, what's it been like in these first, 2-3 months on the job?
It's been tremendous. I've been really blessed to have a really good team around me. We've added some new folks to our executive staff, which are going to be great additions to the organization. Derek and the ownership group, Bruce Sherman, everyone's just been fantastic to work with. A lot of the comments that we had shared early in the new ownership's tenure around making sure we focus on the fan experience is exactly what brings me to San Diego here today. With a couple of other members of our executive team touring Petco Park. I was lucky enough in the late 90s to be a part of the design of Petco Park, and I've only had a chance to come back a few times since. And so to see how the ballpark's evolved over time and how they continue to invest in the fan experience is exactly the kind of thing we want to do at Marlins Park. So to everything from the F&B experience, food and beverage, the concessions, the restaurants they bring in that are iconic here to the San Diego area, different suite experiences, seating areas, the whole 9 yards. They've really done a nice job here. So this is one of many ballparks we're going to go to this year to really do a lot of studying and understand best practices and take a lot of those findings back with us to Miami. And make that part of our long-term plan.
Well, can you expand on that just a little bit? Because I think it's kind of it's an incredible answer. But when you think, okay, so what's the dynamic that would be brought? You mentioned here in San Diego. Like, where are some of the other cities that you would say that's a type of experience that we would want to bring to South Florida?
Well, I think the things that we're going to focus on are the ballparks that do a tremendous job of creating an authentic experience for the fans in that particular marketplace.
Right.
And so San Diego's done that. There are some really cool restaurants. Hodad's is one of those that is an iconic burger place in Ocean Beach here in San Diego that can be found in the ballpark. There's Blue Water Sushi and some others. Pittsburgh also is really known for having some authentic Pittsburgh experiences. Same thing with Seattle. Has done some really good things with Safeco Field, AT&T Park in San Francisco, which I'm very familiar with. Also is another that we'll be checking out. So excited to take the tours, but more importantly, excited to see what works in those ballparks, why, and what we think is applicable to South Florida.
So it's great for you and the team to obviously see these things firsthand, but in terms of Marlins Park, I know that the DeMelo piece, that an initiative that's going on at Marlins Park, has also been important. What sort of findings or feedback have you gotten on that?
Well, we love the fact that we've gotten such great response to the fact that we're offering fans a place to talk about what matters to them, what they'd like to see, both in the short and in the long term. We've gotten some tremendous feedback on everything from retail to things they'd like to see with the food and beverage experience at the ballpark, how we can improve parking, how we can improve everything that we do from a broadcast perspective to inside the ballpark itself, and certainly the at-home experience. So really excited that fans are using this as a platform to share with us what matters most to them. We actually had a meeting last week to share that with the executive team, which was a lot of fun, seeing some of the videos, hearing firsthand of what matters and why. And now we've got to go back and start implementing that in the day-to-day experience of Marlins baseball.
Now, one of the other things is getting to the ballpark, right? I mean, we hear the same thing kind of over in St. Pete with the Rays. You hear people complaining all the time about it takes forever to get to the ballpark. There's a lot of people up in Broward and Palm Beach County. Are there ways for them, as again, Todd and I both live north of Miami, and our neighbors are asking us all the time, we can't get to the ballpark. Are there buses? Are there trains? So in terms of getting to the ballpark, you guys are looking into that as well?
You bet. So Bright Line is the new train that's now coming from the Palm Beach area. So excited about how we can offer different opportunities for fans to take the train down. It's a short Uber ride once you hop off the train, which is great. And we have a great Uber experience there at Marlins Park that we've invested a lot of time and energy into. We've worked very closely with the City of Miami Police Department, as well as the County Police Department, in working on how we can improve the ingress-egress experience, how we can improve parking, and how to get people in and out of the parking facility faster. How do we improve lighting outside of the ballpark, I think is also an important element to keep people safe. There's a lot of things that we're doing that we'll be beta testing throughout the course of the year. Next year, we expect to make big strides in a lot of these areas. But, the purpose is to make it right and to make it efficient. And so every single day we go about this trying to be in a constant state of evolution.
One other thing that people have asked about has been corporate sponsorships / naming rights of the ballpark. Where do things stand right there? And keep in mind, there's 2 outs.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will speak quickly because I know Dan's going to throw a great pitch here. For us, we're very focused on what we're doing with naming rights. The idea is to get the right partner for the right reasons. We're not looking just to get a name on the building. We want to get someone that the market can be proud of, and as can our fan base. All
right. I know you came over from the Warriors. Are they going to do it again?
I'm certainly going to say that they've got a pretty good shot.
All right, terrific. Chip Bowers, the president of business operations, kind enough to join us. Marlins down 3-0. Justin Bohr, Brian Anderson, JT Riddle due up against Tyson Ross. And his Padres with that 3 spot in the first. Currently in control of the second game of this 4-game series, starting a 3-city road trip with yesterday's victory here in San Diego. It continues here tonight, off to Arizona after this, and then St. Louis with a day off in between. Bohr, a base hit in the first inning, one of 2 hits against Tyson Ross. Well, nice to talk with Chip Bowers, again the president of business operations with the Marlins. Certainly a very busy guy, right? I mean, and a lot of the leadership group and the brain trust, as Bohr laces one down the right field line, his second hit, and he is going to get into second base with a leadoff double here in the 4th.
Big boy, JB, he's dialed it up a couple times into that right field corner. First 2 games of this series, the second time. First tonight, second hit though. Start the 4th inning.
In steps Brian Anderson, a strikeout in the first, one of 3 thus far for Ross, who's now up over 50 pitches tonight. Out to right field, hit off the end of the bat. It falls in front of Reyes. Bohr had to hold up for a second, but the Marlins have runners on the corners to begin the 4th.
Now back-to-back pitches. This one up, elevated. Nice adjustment from Anderson.
The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot, as Brian Anderson now 56 hits. A few off the pace set by Ozzie Albies of the Braves for the most hits by a player 25 years or younger. Just saw Trey Turner in the previous series against the Nationals. He's in there as well. And Anderson's hit sets up JT Riddle with runners on first and third. Riddle back in the second inning with a ground ball to second base. JT looking for his first hit since being recalled, and now would be a good time for it as the Marlins look to dent the scoreboard, get a little bit closer. This may do that, even though it's a double play. Bohr comes in to score. No RBI, but the Marlins are on the board. It's 3-1.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
So after the leadoff double for Bohr, he's able to come around and get Miami on the board against Tyson Ross. J.B. Shuck takes a called strike. Shuck grounded out to the right side back in the second inning. '11th start of the season for J.B. Shuck. He has hits in his previous 7 of his previous 10 starts this season. This one on the ground to second. It's Perella. And Tyson Ross surrenders a run in the inning, but otherwise works rather quickly. 3-1.
But back at Marlins Park, there was a really cool event that took place tonight. One of the Marlins charity partners, Guitars Over Guns, held their graduation at the ballpark. Guitars Over Guns is a nonprofit dedicated to serving at-risk youth through music-based mentorship programs. They were awarded $25,000 from the Marlins to support their cause. They also created a very cool music video that they have unveiled through their program. And guys, they're also going to be back at Marlins Park on July 13th to celebrate the partnership with the team. That is just good stuff right there.
Absolutely one of the many ways that the Marlins are connecting or even reconnecting with the community in Miami. Jessica, thanks so much. As Franmil Reyes takes a called strike. It's Reyes, Galvis, and Manuel Margot here in the 4th inning, with the Padres now up 3-1. After the Marlins got on the board in the top of this inning.
Reyes fell victim to a Straley slider, one of the best sliders he's thrown tonight. Chased it off that outer edge. See if Dan chooses to go back there once again.
Caught at shortstop by J.T. Riddle.
Well, he goes back to the slider, but doesn't get it to where it needs to be. Reyes all over it. I'll tell you what, J.T. Riddle, there's your fresh catch of the day. Great instincts at short.
Not a lot of time. That ball came flying off the bat, but
yeah, lots of exit velocity.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't need the super hops, just the middle hops right there, just a couple steps off the ground.
Just the reach. We'll utilize the reach. That's a big number, Holly. You're good at this. I hate to put you on the spot. We don't have to take a guess.
At what?
Exit velocity?
Yeah, 108.
115.
Wow, that hard, huh?
Yeah. But it's an out in the scorebook. That's like that, you know, the 450 foot foul ball down the line. It's just a strike.
It will never be remembered.
Here's Freddie Galvis. Galvis with a ground ball in the 1st inning. It was the last out of a 3-run first against Dan Straley. Right back to Dan, who retires Galvis. Marlins fans, be sure to tune in to Marlins Live, the pregame show before the next game, presented by your South Florida Honda dealers. Craig Minervini, Jeff Nelson, not pictured there. That's Don Orsillo on the left and Mark Grant on the right. But Nelly is going to sit down with Mark Grant in advance of the Jose Urania Clayton Richard matchup in the 3rd of 4. We have a horse in the race, right? This booth, our booth. I happen to like our booth.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does, but I do. Frankly, that's all that matters. But those two guys over there, they have a lot of fun.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've watched a lot of them. But if you watch a Padres game, those guys have a good time.
Sure, that's the way it's got to be.
Very informative. And there are times when Mark Grant will actually hit Don Orsillo with a baseball after a guy gets hit by a pitch, just to tell him how it feels. More on that when we come back.
by sharing a photo or video with hashtag #HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
To the top of the 5th inning, a 3-1 deficit for the Marlins against Tyson Ross and the San Diego Padres. Don Manning looking for some runs. Down a couple here in the middle innings. It's Lewis Brinson, Yadiel Rivera, and Dan Straley due up against Ross. An infield single for Brinson back in the 2nd. Sends this one out to right field toward the line, and now moving toward the corner is Reyes to put it away for the 1st out. One pitch, 1 out for Ross. He's at 58 pitches through 4 1/3. Been rather efficient tonight. So a pretty good number of strikes, 37 of his 58. And here is Yadiel Rivera, who takes a called strike. Rivera struck out in the 2nd, 1 of 3 thus far tonight for Tyson Ross. We've talked a lot about the working deep into games for Ross and throwing over 100 pitches. He was asked about that after his last start, when again he threw 110. He said you do all the preparation in the offseason to get yourself built up so you could take the ball 35 times, throw 100 pitches, 6, 7 innings, whatever it might be. He said that was the mindset that he had all offseason, as that one will trickle foul. 2-2. Said he was finally healthy after a few years. He had some injuries, so that was his goal, to get back to where he was before. Every 5 days, taking the hill, going 100+ pitches, hopefully 6 or more innings, and he has done that. And I mentioned it before, a team high 7 quality starts this season, which have all led to San Diego victories.
I just think it's so interesting how pitchers in today, we talk about it with Ross, you've seen him do it here in San Diego, maybe a little CC Sabathia. Pitchers, honestly, you could go as high as Justin Verlander, and we talk about reinventing oneself. Pitchers, they go into slumps, they deal with injuries, things change in their careers the longer they're in this sport, and in times you have to reinvent yourself. It's not that Ross hasn't always had a great slider, but the one thing that really changed for him last year, and you see a little bit of it this year, is that he just doesn't throw as hard. When he was dominating for the San Diego Padres 13 through 15, he was throwing 94 miles an hour, and it was the sinker that people around the game of baseball would rave about. Oh man, he generates tons and tons of strikeouts, or lots of ground balls, and boy oh boy, he's got a wipeout slider if you fall behind. Now, what we've even seen tonight, we see the wipeout slider early, throws it a little bit earlier in the count for a strike. Maybe he'll throw it a little bit harder to get you to swing over the top of it, and pitches backwards, back up to the top of the zone, but not nearly as many, say, fastballs or sinkers to hit.
After the walk to Rivera, Straley squares to bunt, offers, and that's strike 1. Straley lined out to right field back in the 3rd inning. Well, getting back to full health was obviously a focus for Tyson Ross. Keep in mind that he underwent thoracic outlet surgery back in 2016, so spent the first couple of months last season recovering from that, and threw 49 innings for the Rangers. 122 starts in his career. 10 starts with Texas, or at least 10 starts with Texas in the first 10 starts this season. About a 4-run difference in the ERA. So is it, different team, different surroundings, better health? Who knows? But I'm sure the Padres not exactly ready to trade that in. They like what they've seen.
Well, let's not forget all the success that he had here. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it, and certainly don't want to leave it out. I mean, we see this all the time throughout the game of baseball. Players, much like pitchers, you change your environment, you go through something, and all of a sudden you get to your new destination. You're not nearly the same player or pitcher that you once were at the previous stop. bounce around baseball a little bit. A lot of times we see that player make his way back to where he came from, and all of a sudden it's like the fountain of youth. All of a sudden he's doing exactly what you saw him do before.
Straley lays down the bunt, and the throw goes to second. And that is a 2-6-3 double play. Rafi Lopez able to pick it up right on the chalk. Threw a strike to short, or second. The shortstop, Freddie Galvis, able to turn the double play. And that is how the top of the 5th ends. 3-1 Padres.
He loves playing baseball professionally, but he knows that his bigger purpose in life is to give back.
Adam Wainwright contacted me at spring training right when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do, with an opportunity to raise some money to help a city in the Dominican, and we're going to give this town a baseball field. And so we donated $6,000 to build the baseball field. Adam donated, matched me, donated $6,000. So we're already at $12,000, and so the baseball field essentially is built. Now the money goes towards adding a well, so we're going to give them water, and then we're also going to add a food plot with food for the hungry.
To learn more about the project or to make a pledge, visit pledgeit.org/Straley. Guys.
Jessica, thanks so much. Yeah, that terrific stuff there by Dan Straley, Adam Wainwright, and there you see, to make a donation, the address to go do that. It's nice to see players who kind of understand that their purpose is not just to throw a ball or hit a ball, but the ability to impact lives is very important.
Absolutely. You have an incredible platform here as a Major League Baseball player. You have the ability through social media and so many other outlets, the media itself, to make a difference in this world. And fans take notice. They pay attention. I was a kid. I know you were as well. Certainly a fan of the game of baseball, right? I'm sure you idolized a few of your favorite stars. I think one of them, he might be the boss now, right?
Possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
That's right.
In two senses, actually.
I think you remind me of that like every day.
A manager, an owner, whatever.
But the point is that, yes, you've got a platform and you've got the ability to make changes, make significant changes, be proactive in not only in your community, but in other countries as well. I spent a lot of time in my life in the Dominican Republic. I certainly understand what Dan is targeting and how he is striving to make a difference, and he is.
A ball and 2 strikes to Tyson Ross to lead off the 5th. After Ross, the top of the order, Travis Jankowski and Corey Spangenberg. The Padres up 3-0. 3 runs, 4 hits in that first inning. No runs, 1 hit since for Straley, so he has settled down. Just missed upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 strikeouts to this point. Has yet to issue a walk. And we talked to Dan Straley a few nights ago, in fact, shortly after his start. He started the last game in New York, and then there was the day off. And I believe it was, I think it was Friday night against the Nationals. We talked to him, and it was one of those outings that he had where he just kind of had to battle a little bit, whether it's, whether you've got all your pitches, command of all of your pitches or not, or in a situation like tonight, first inning, as you're trying to settle in, it's, hit, as Ross sends one out to right center field, and Brinson diving and makes the catch.
There it is. I'll say it now, best of the best. That's the best catch he's made this season. My goodness gracious, from the ground he covered to the full extension dive. I'll tell you what, this is an incredible catch. Marlins fans, pay attention. Watch the closing speed. From about 10 feet down, he makes up about 6 feet, full extension, and catches it just off the top of the grass. What an effort.
And Straley appreciates the defense behind him. Brinson maybe a little shaken up, but a great play nonetheless. Forcing us for the first time this year, I believe, to double up on the Bonefish fresh catch of the day.
Right.
It was that good.
We got a little desperate early. It's okay. Regroup.
Anyway, the point I was making on Straley was that sometimes you have to battle. You're not going to have your A stuff 30 nights a year. That's what he had to do in that first inning, or at least after that first inning.
I'll tell you what, the defense has been picking him up here of late. Ended last inning with a nice little play by JT Riddle. Great catch here in the 5th by Brinson. When the ball comes off the bat like that, it's tailing away from you as well. Not an easy play. As I said it right off the top, that is the best catch, in my opinion, that he has made this year.
Again, it's a Twitter Tuesday, Twitter and email Tuesday at Fox Marlins on Twitter and Instagram, foxmarlins@gmail.com. Have a few of them in the hopper that we'll get to in moments, as Straley fields and retires Jankowski for the second out here in the 5th. Well, this summer the World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th only on Fox and FS1. There's Corey Spangenberg, who singled and scored in the first and grounded out in the second.
All right, let's give you some StatCast numbers on this incredible catch we saw. How about this? 71 feet. My goodness gracious, that's the ground he covered. And again, I tell you, when a righty hits a ball like that, the ball is tailing away from you. It's working away. 71 feet, catch probability of 34%. Tremendous effort.
Seems high for me.
I think it was a little bit low. You mean that number, the 34%?
34% means that 10 center fielders make that play.
Right.
I think less make that play.
Well, I knew he covered a lot of ground. I mean, we have a great bird's eye view here in San Diego from our booth, and he was off with the crack of the bat, and he was almost anticipating it, making its way over there. But his ability to close is what impressed me so much.
Spangenberg bunts it foul with 2 strikes, and that is the end of the 5th. 3-1.
Take a trip to 1993 as the Marlins celebrate their 25th anniversary. Join us the weekend of June 8th through the 10th. Some of your favorite World Series champs, throwback moments, giveaways, and much more. Red Teal, the Marlins take on the Padres in our throwback jerseys. Visit marlins.com/25. It'll be a big weekend.
It is. It's going to be a fun weekend, too. A lot of folks are going to be there. Marlins, certainly present as well, but also past Marlins will be there as well. There's a softball game that will be televised on Fox Sports Florida. Lots and lots of teal. So looking forward to it. That's when this lengthy road trip ends against these very same San Diego Padres. 0-2 to Derek Dietrich. Off the edge, 1-2. Well, here's one. Again, a Twitter hashtag Tuesday. Frank from Delray Beach. I was watching 2003 Game 7 in Turks and Caicos with my family when I was 8 years old. I'll never forget it. Assuming that's against the Chicago Cubs, Game 7 rather, as you guys won the World Series in 6 games that year. After Dietrich, JT Realmuto and Justin Bohr. Again, 3 runs in the first inning for the Padres. The Marlins answered back in the 4th inning. A run scored on a double play ball. And Dietrich begins the 6th with a base hit the other way. Talking about the past of the Marlins. We flash back the Coors Banquet timeless moment and effectively wild, which I believe was one of the headlines in the local papers. 3rd no-hitter in Marlins history. 9 walks, a wild pitch, a hit batter, 104 pitches. But A.J. Burnett gets the no-hitter nonetheless. Here in San Diego. Not at this ballpark, but here in San Diego.
I tell you, it's amazing. Even every time we acknowledge it, we recognize, even when you look at the box score of that game, it still blows my mind. 9 walks, the 7 strikeouts. And here's the thing, 104 pitches. You'd think that would be 144 pitches.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. That explains AJ, former teammate of mine.
And the San Diego Padres, the last team without a no-hitter in their franchise history. A base hit down the line for JT Realmuto. Dietrich on his horse heading to 3rd, and he's getting waved around by Freddie Gonzalez. And he will score easily. To 3rd goes Realmuto in there with an RBI triple.
Absolutely love the hustle. Great to see. No stopping. Dietrich, easy read. It's in front of him. Good swing of the bat. Slider gets it out in front just a little bit. Kind of gets it down the 3rd base line. Catches everybody off guard. But the best thing here is this ball's going to tuck in the corner and come to a, well, almost a dead stop. You see right there, Jankowski kind of fumbles it around a little bit. That's all it took. Not only for Dietrich to score, but for JT to make his way to 3rd base. Great read, never broke stride.
He is huffing and puffing as he scores all the way from 1st and now inside to Bohr. What's that?
You know why that is?
Why is
Most
that?
people don't know. I mean, this is because I had this as an issue, because when a lot of times especially when you play baseball and you run, you tend to hold your breath.
I don't run. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm telling you. You take off and you're running. Right. And they say, because I would go in there, I would end up dug just much like Derek just did. You'd be like huffing and puffing. It's like, well, you only ran, what is it, 270 feet?
Right.
Well, you hold your breath when you run because you're like, the intensity, everything's kind of happening in front of you. You tend to hold your breath. It's why when you get to the end of the line, you're like,
makes sense.
Right.
Makes all the sense in the
world. Bring out
the
oxygen, right?
Well, the Marlins now within a run after the RBI triple for JT Realmuto, his second 3-base hit of the year and 15th of his career. So now we'll see if Bohr can tie up the ball game. Craig Stammen up in the Padres bullpen. We talked earlier about the ability for Justin Bohr to bring the runner in from third with less than 2 outs. You just saw those numbers right there. The Marlins hoping that he can bring home the equalizer here in the 6th. And now 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I'll tell you, Ross has battled that lane with the slider the last couple of innings. Sometimes you start that one just a little bit too far off the plate. Hitters, no threat at chasing. Almost has to start it over the inner third and get it so that it breaks out of the strike zone.
Ripped down the right field line, but foul. Just out in front of that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good example of what I'm talking about. Wow. I heard that. Did you hear that? Hit a seat. That was the noise. That's how hard this.
Listen to this. Clunk.
Yeah. On the upper deck. My goodness.
Now the other way. Yeah, that was like one of those balls that doesn't really. It doesn't land. It just stops when it hits something.
Yeah. JB's got that kind of pop. He pitch at bat, fighting off just about everything from Ross.
Tying run 90 feet away. Here's the 9th pitch of the at-bat. It's inside. 3-2.
Yeah, nice discipline again. Justin Bohr. Tell you what, we watched this Marlins offense all season long. I've watched them enough to say this pretty confidently. They game plan well. They may not have as much power as some other teams, but when you watch them enact a game plan and make an in-game adjustment, it's collective. Look at Frank doing the thing down there, talking about it as well. Good communication throughout the dugout.
Well, Bohr is seeing it well in this at-bat.
People are just getting out of the way of these foul balls. Nobody's even trying to catch them. The one down the left field line, did you see it almost knocked the guy off his keister?
Just about straightening one out here for Justin Bohr as he has hit some lasers down each line in this 10-pitch at-bat. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
A little bit of frustration there, quality at bat, but Ross able to make the biggest pitch of all right here on 3-2. Gets to the lane we talked about and able to drop it down below the knees. Frustration.
Andy Green making his way out to the mound. Don't know if he's motioned yet to the bullpen. There you go. So that's going to do it for Tyson Ross. He will leave with a 3-2 lead after 87 pitches tonight. Marlins have the tying run at third in the person of JT Realmuto. The Florida Lottery called the bullpen here at Petco Park as the Marlins look to tie things up. At third base. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. It's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has 70 unique scratch-off games. So add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Those are the numbers for Craig Stammen in his career against the Marlins in 32 games. So a rather large sample size and an ERA that approaches 6. So we'll see if the Marlins can get to him again. But which Stammen will it be? The one with the 6 ERA against the Marlins, or the 1.73 in 23 games?
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll see if history tells us a different tale or not. 1.73 ERA on the season. Left-handed batters hitting 190. Righties 2.04. A 2.92 ERA here at Petco Park. Better on the road. He's a scoreless inning streak of 11 innings currently.
Anderson with the chopper wide of the third base bag. A strikeout in the first and a base hit in the 4th inning for Brian Anderson, who has been one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position for the Marlins this season. Entering play at a .340 clip. The infield in for the Padres. And now 0-2. Well, as May winds down, it's been another solid month for Brian Anderson. Entered the day hitting .295 this month. Still a couple of days left to add to those numbers, but about 6 weeks into the season, he has been impressive. He has come up with big hits throughout the first 50+ games for the Marlins. Three-quarters of the inherited runners have failed to score against Stammen this year.
He leads the way with his sinker, about 92 miles an hour. 64% of the time goes to the slider. Does have a curveball. He's had 1 home run this season.
A base hit through the left side. Anderson comes through again. JT Realmuto scores, and the Marlins have tied it up here in the 6th.
I'll tell you what, Brian Anderson continues to impress. Time and time again. We had some conversation yesterday about the young Padres phenom, Christian Villanueva, their third baseman. He's not in the game yet tonight, but I think the comparison between the two, and we've kind of seen it so far in the first 2 games, what Brian Anderson has done so well. In-game adjustments, recognizing what the situation demands.
It's his 24th RBI this season, even with Bohr and Rojas for tops on the club. But for right now, the most important thing is that he has tied this ball game.
Tell you what, for such a young man who's now establishing himself in his first full season at the major league level, his in-game adjustments, even in at-bat adjustments, are pretty amazing. You watch him game plan. He'll go up there if he senses that he's being pitched away or that there's going to be sliders. You'll watch him choke up and go the other way. You give him a fastball or 2 at the hands, he'll start to look to pull. Great signs from the young Anderson.
And a called strike 3. Riddle is retired.
Now the sinking fastball, sometimes That's not always the true definition of what it is. Arm side run, that's what he's searching for. Starts it off inside, off the plate, runs back to that inside corner.
So that closes the book on Tyson Ross tonight. 5 1/3 innings for him, 6 hits. All 3 of the runs charged to him. They're all earned. A walk and 4 strikeouts. Here's J.B. Shuck. Couple of ground balls to the right side tonight. Shuck, the lefty hitter, getting the start against the righty throwing Tyson Ross, who has given way to Craig Stammen. A brand new ball game here in the 6th inning as the Marlins have pushed 2 runs across to get it back to even. And then you can see Derek Dietrich and JT Realmuto looking at the iPad, the live game video essentially. Have you seen one of those, like in action in the dugout? Have they showed?
Well, no, I'm next to you most of the time.
Well, I know that. Most of the time, yeah, I got that. I don't know if you got your inside info.
Innings.
You got your inside info. You're chit-chatting with Frankie
I do all the
and
time.
Pags.
That's true, right? But
I don't know if they let you in behind the curtain a little bit. Shuck with the base hit to right field. Anderson was off on the pitch. He's on his way to third, and he's getting the green light. Here comes the throw. It's off the mark. And Shuck into third. The Marlins have taken a 4-3 lead.
Oh, J.B. Shuck coming up with the big hit here with 2 outs in the 6th. The same pitch that Stammen was able to get under the hands of Riddle is ripped into right by Shuck. Watch Reyes. He's pursuing that baseball away from the field of play. With Anderson running, it gives him a couple of steps around third base. Look at the bench. They're helping pull Anderson along the line down there for the go-ahead run.
So 3 runs in the inning for the Marlins. They have erased a 3-1 deficit thanks in part to Brian Anderson, who tied it and then came around to score the run that gave him the lead, thanks to J.B. Shuck, who gets his first double of the year. Just his 2nd extra base hit. If you recall, he had a triple in that 4-hit debut back on April 13th. No swing from Brinson. 3-0. The bats have come to life for the Marlins in this inning. 4 hits, a triple, a double. Got the outside edge, 3-1. Chop to third. A throw that pulled Hosmer into foul ground, but he's able to keep his toe on the bag and retire Brinson. But J.B. Shuck with the RBI double. Part of a 3-run inning. Marlins on top 4-3. Erase the 3-1 deficit and take a 4-3 lead. So new life for Dan Straley, who has settled down since that first inning when he gave up all 3 of the runs, 4 of the 5 hits. So now back in front here in the bottom of the 6th inning, Eric Hosmer, Jose Perella, and Rafi Lopez. Two and 1 to Hosmer. Well, for Straley, you know what? I mean, listen, we don't know exactly how the rest of this night's going to play out, but a nice job for him to give up the 3 runs in the first inning and then really settle back in. And as we hear Don Mattingly talk about his entire starting rotation just about on a daily basis, as long as they can keep us in the game. And to this point, that's exactly what Straley's done.
No, you're absolutely right. The big thing is he's been able to get the ball down. More than anything, you look over the last 4 innings. For the most part, he has been able not only change speeds, but effectively keep the ball down in the zone. Back to that first inning, all 4 hits. Varying line drives, but balls up at the top of the zone. Look at the Marlins starters over the last 10 games. You got a chance to win every day. You see the team record, probably feel it should be a little bit better than that at 249.
A line drive base hit for Hosmer. That one's going to go all the way to the wall. Brinson picks it up and gets it in, but it's a leadoff double for Hosmer here in the 6th.
Now more exit velocity from Hosmer as he picks on a fastball up just below the belt. High leg kick. We mentioned it. I know we have over the first couple of games of this series that Hosmer's bat had really cooled off. I'll tell you what, if tonight's any indicator of where he is going, he is starting to heat back up again. Base hit yesterday, 2 rockets today.
A National League leading 17th double for Eric Hosmer. And now the Padres have the tying run up. And the person, or in scoring position rather, for Jose Perella, who shows bunt, pulls it back, and it's 1-0. Adam Conley loosens for Miami. 2 balls and no strikes.
Australia able to keep one of the hot Padres hitters down so far tonight. Perella hit for his last 19 with 2 doubles. His last 5 ball games.
He made a bid for a hit in the first inning. Yadiel Rivera took a hit away from him. Got to get the start at second base today. A diving stop up the middle.
Both of these instances, Dan has really put himself into a bit of a bind with Hosmer, now Perella falling behind, really forcing himself to throw some of his secondary pitches in key spots.
That was a good secondary pitch.
Well, it certainly drew the attention of Perella, who was pretty much committed to swinging, I think, ball out of hand. The slider ends up just above the dirt.
Chop to short. Riddle goes to third, and Anderson applies the tag. They get the lead runner. Well, a risky play by Hosmer, who has not vacated third base yet, as the Padres may take a look at this.
But not an easy play for JT Riddle or Brian Anderson either. Yeah, right on the knee, just before that right leg, right foot hits the bag.
That foot kind of bounced a little bit, and that's when it went up. That's when Anderson was able to apply the tag.
That's a huge play. Now it's a slow roller to the left side of the infield. That's what Hosmer was thinking. He would beat the throw anything. Maybe even that JT Riddle wouldn't assume that there could have been a play at third base. JT did a brilliant job of getting those shoulders square with a quick toss to third. Nice tag by Brian Anderson.
Now Rafi Lopez, who had an RBI in that 3-run first inning. And by making that play at third, Perella reaches, but the double play in order here in the 6th inning. Australia at 98 pitches. 100 his last time out against the Mets. 98 against the Braves. 102 in the previous start, also against Atlanta. Now 0-2 to the Padres backstop. So 3 men on the right side of the infield with the 0-2 count on Lopez. No advance by Perella at first base, even though that got a good 30-40 feet away from Real Muto. Maybe a break there for Miami.
Well, if you don't anticipate the ball in the dirt, you really have no shot at moving up a base. Simple as that. Marlins practice that all the time. I think it. You got to anticipate it, particularly with 2 strikes. Pitchers looking for the knockout pitch typically go to the bottom of the zone. You've got to be ready.
I think I count 3 of those tonight. That Australia's really spiked in the dirt.
Absolutely.
Well in front of home plate.
Sometimes you read the scouting report. What ends up happening is you say, oh, JT Realmuto is one of the quickest catchers in the game. He pounces out from behind home plate all the time. He's got the leading pop time. Yeah, we're not going to run.
That's why there's a beach chair over there at first base.
It's well, listen, you can either look at it one of 2 ways. You can just eliminate yourself from taking the extra base, or you can say, you know what, and just do a better job of trying to anticipate. But I'm with you. I think that the message is this guy's not a guy you want to run on.
JT's already made a nice play in front of home plate back in the 2nd inning. A bunt attempt by Jankowski, able to pounce on it quick, get the out at first. Swung on and missed, took a little off, and there are 2 away. flash you back this day in Marlins history. In 1995, Chris Hammond, the first pitcher since 1986 to hit a grand slam against the Houston Astros. Those old school Astros uniforms. The same Astros uniforms that, Holly, I know you'll be pleased to know, that I had in Little League. So there's that.
There you go.
Franmil Reyes takes a called strike. Four strikeouts tonight for Straley, who has a 4-3 lead. Doing a great job keeping the team in the game after giving up 3 runs in the first. Marlins answered back with 1 in the 4th inning on a double play ball that scored a run, and then 3 in the 6th.
FPL is proud to support our first responders in good weather and bad. See how at FPL.com.
Two outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. Straley's pitch is low, and it's 2-1. Reyes with a strikeout in the first inning, lined out 115 miles an hour off the bat, but into the glove of JT Riddle at short, back in the 4th. Simber up in the Padres bullpen. This one is driven out to left center field, and that one is gone. A 2-run home run for Reyes, and the Padres back out in front, 5-4.
Well, Paul, so much to do about the slider tonight. My goodness. The game within the game. Dan Straley versus Reyes in that slider. If you think back to the first at bat, able to wipe him out with a great slider. Went to that slider again in the second at bat. You mentioned the 115 off the bat. It was off of that slider. This 3-1 pitch again is the slider. Dan looking to throw his best one. Does not go that way. Reyes does not miss it. Almost the exact same lane as the 115 off the bat to short, just with some backspin and elevation.
Well, for
second home run of the series.
That's right. For the second day in a row, he homers. He had not hit a home run at this ballpark before yesterday, and now he's got homers in back-to-back days. A long drive to left center field into the second deck, and Don Mattingly is going to make a pitching change and a double switch. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen here at Petco. Pitching change, a double switch as Cameron Maben is in the ball game. J.B. Shuck is out, as is Dan Straley. So Adam Conley in out of the bullpen. A 2-run home run for Franmil Reyes has given the Padres the 5-4 lead. Fourth time we've seen Adam Conley this year.
Pitching in his fourth ball game, 3 innings of work, 3 Ks, very similar appearances, all 3 of them. I think the thing that everybody's fallen in love with when it comes to Conley is the newfound velocity, working 1 inning in that reliever's role. We've seen back-to-back 96-mile-an-hour fastballs. Point being, that slider starts to come along. Conley can become a big weapon.
Fouled back off the bat of Freddie Galvis, and I've heard some comparisons, people throwing it out there, that maybe Adam Conley can be what Andrew Miller has been the last couple of years.
Velocity-wise in the fastball, he's got to come up with the slider, though. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Very
Andrew
true.
Miller has got one of the most lethal sliders there is in the sport. Conley can get, say, 3/4 of the way there. I'm with you. I'm on board. But until that happens, I mean, that's really what it's been. For how Andrew Miller is used. I love it. The comparison's there because you see the mechanics, you see the body size, you see even some of the body language, the ability to kind of cut across his body at 96 miles an hour. But you got to have this bad boy to go along with it. Talking about the slider.
Swung on and missed. 96 miles an hour gets Galvis to end the 6th inning. But Straley gives up the home run to Reyes. And the Padres have a 5-4 lead as we go to the 7th at Petco. The home run by Franmil Reyes. He is homered in the first 2 games of this series. A loud home run, but it's all been about Straley and Reyes tonight.
Well, it really has, and how these at-bats have ended. You saw the first slider outstanding. Now that's a line out to JT Riddle. It's the slider, and this is the slider as well. All 3 at-bats essentially came down to Dan Straley's slider versus Reyes. Pretty impressive stuff early, not so much late. The young man able to get a pitch he can hammer 442 feet, 110 miles an hour on that home run from Reyes.
Matt Caesar in the ball game. Travis Jankowski moving over to right field as Adam Simber takes over. 23rd game for him. 22 games, 2-2 record, 2 holds. As he will face Yadiel Rivera. Cameron Maben in as part of the double switch, and then Derek Dietrich, 8-9-1, due up for the Marlins here in the 7th inning. Right back to him. And 1 away here in the 7th. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. John Norwood at AA with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp on an 8-game hit streak right now, getting on base almost 44% of the time. A 12th round pick of the Blue Jays out of Vanderbilt back in 2011 on a nice little run there in Jacksonville. Cameron Maben, the other half of the double switch in the bottom of the 6th inning. Maben had himself a nice afternoon yesterday in the opener of this series. 3 hits, 3 for 4.
Yeah, complete game. Stolen base, couple of runs, couple of RBIs. Real nice game for Cam.
Low sidearm sling delivery of Simber. Hasn't issued a walk to a right-handed hitter in now 64 plate appearances, and hasn't given up a home run in 26 innings pitched.
Well, Maben's done a very nice job off the bench for Don Mattingly and the Marlins. Go through double switches or pinch hits. 292 when entering a ball game.
Tim Wallach talking with Miguel Rojas, maybe plotting out when we might see Miggy at some point. He already got a bat in hand, and he's had one for a while. Ready, willing, and able at any moment in time. Grounded to second base, Perella. 2 away. Bullpen a strength for this San Diego Padres team. 4th in the National League when it comes to ERA. As Dietrich fouls the first one back and 2 hour left, 0-1.
It really is the strength of the San Diego Padres this season. They've had other issues. Obviously, we've talked about the offense being a bit down. They've had some injuries. The starting pitching, good at times, not overly consistent. The bullpen has been. That's why you saw Tyson Ross coming out of the game as early as he did. I think we were probably a bit surprised, anticipating another 100-pitch outing, and the conclusion of the 6th inning.
At 87 pitches, thought there was another 30 in the arm there.
Part of that is, I think Andy Green is like, I got to get into my my advantage as quickly as possible, which is the bullpen.
Brad Hand, 8 games of multiple innings, an inning in a third or more, and 8 of them. May be an opportunity for him to do that tonight. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs to Derek Dietrich, who singled and scored in the 6th. Swung on and missed, strike 3. It's a 1-2-3 7th for Simber. Stretch time here at Petco Park in a 1-run game. Brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. By the Lincoln Spring Sales Event. Drive into spring in a new Lincoln. And by La Lechonera, the original Mojo since 1970. Back here at Petco Park in San Diego, a 5-4 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock with you here in San Diego. Again, thanks for staying up late. I know it's a little after midnight back home. As Adam Conley in for his 2nd inning of work, got the last out of the 6th inning, taking over for Dan Straley, whose final line 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 of which were earned. Didn't walk anybody and struck out 4. Manuel Margot to lead things off. 8-9-1 due up. Matt Caesar, who came in as part of a double switch, will hit next. And then the top of the order, Travis Jankowski. To Riddle at short. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey guys, it is a Twitter and email Tuesday from here at Petco Park. Tonight it's been all about the hashtag Marlins25. Fans have been submitting some of their favorite memories from the past 25 years of Marlins baseball. How about this tweet from Ryan Mackman, because he has quite the collection, from hanging out with players like Chef and Hawk to the 1997 World Series championship. That's a lot of good moments right there. Keep those tweets and emails coming. Send the tweets to @FoxMarlins. Emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com and use tonight's hashtag Marlins25. Guys.
Jessica, thank you very much. Matt Caesar takes outside. This is one that is not necessarily related to the throwback theme that we've got tonight. But this one is for Todd here. When I was growing up back in the 60s, early 70s, when a batter reached first base, you almost never saw him chatting or catching up with the first baseman. They were enemies for the duration of the game. When did this start to change and why? Doug asks.
Well, I would probably say about halfway through my career. See strike 3. Adam Conley in a good groove. 2nd strikeout tonight. Yeah, I kind of noticed that when I first broke in. You know, the rules would be, if you come out to a come out to a game, maybe batting practice or whatnot. At a ballpark today, a lot of times you'll see, as the team comes out and the other team's finishing up their batting practice, players socializing just a little bit. And it's very much more commonplace. I'm not, going one way or the other as far as, people, how people feel about this. I'm just really expressing how the rules were when I was raised, which was a long time ago. Point being, you didn't socialize with the other team. In fact, it was law. It was told to me, you just don't do it. We don't ever see you on the field doing it, or you'll end up in kangaroo court. You know kangaroo court. I'm sure you've heard the phrase. Certainly understand what that is. It's basically the policing of yourselves in the clubhouse. So the idea is simple. That over time things are starting to change just a little bit more.
A called strike 3. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Conley. 3 of his 4 outs by way of the K. We are through 7. Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock, second of 4, Padres and Marlins. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. Talked a lot about rookies and exactly how it's all worked out for these two clubs. Two of the top rookies in a number of different categories. Christian Villanueva with the home runs. Brian Anderson with just about everything else.
Just a bunch of 1, 2s, and 3s all over the place.
That's all.
Kind of explains things, right?
That's right. And a lot of that is has come from Brian Anderson, who may get a chance to face Brad Hand in this inning. Again, Hand in his 25th game this season. The closer for the San Diego Padres, 16 of 18 in save opportunities. And if that is the plan tonight, he'll be tasked with getting the last 6 outs against the Marlins. It's Real Muto, Bohr, and Anderson. Drafted by the Marlins in 08, picked up off of waivers.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is. It seems like he was the guy that was definitely out of town last year at the deadline, and the Padres didn't like whatever offers were sent their way, so he is still here. And now the questions will begin again with the trade deadline coming up in a couple of months. But for right now, Padres are happy to have him. JT Realmuto with an RBI triple back in the 6th inning. And waits and finally delivers the pitch. Low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, if you're picking up on it already, it's not just JT Realmuto who's in the box, although most tend to pitch him quite carefully. Brad Hand is all about his slider. 54% of the time. Does throw the sinker and still throws hard. 93, 94 miles an hour. Occasionally you'll see the 4-seam fastball as well. That slider more than half the time.
That one at 95 to retire JT. 1 away.
We just mentioned all the sliders almost pitching backwards to JT. Here's the velocity. 95 miles an hour. Tough arm angle. Keeps that front side closed. Hides the ball well.
Here's Justin Bohr. A single in the 1st inning, a double and a run scored in the 4th for Bohr. His 7th multi-hit game this year. 1 for 2 with an RBI and a strikeout in his career against Brad Hand. Now reach the seats, 0-2. Tyson Ross got the start tonight for the Padres. 5 1/3, 6 hits, 3 runs. He struck out 4. Craig Stammen got the last 2 outs of the 6th inning. Gave up a couple of hits and a run. That was that 3-run 6th inning for the Miami Marlins. Simber a strikeout in his inning of work in the 7th. And now Brad Hand, the closer, on in the 8th. Outside, 1-2.
It's about as tough a draw as you're going to get for Justin Bohr going up against the lefty. Now Brad Hand has given up 1 hit to a left-handed batter this season. It's come on the slider. Hasn't actually given up a hit on his 4-seam fastball yet this year. Lefty's 1 for 30.
Did he go? He did not. So if you know those numbers, what are you doing? You looking for it, or are you eliminating it? What are you doing?
Yeah, you're picking 1 pitch. You're probably not going to mess around with the slider too much. It's too difficult a pitch to hit, although it is the 1 hit actually was on the slider. But I think that, generally speaking, that's probably a little bit more lucky than anything. I think you have to sit dead red. Certainly respect the fact that he throws quite hard. Look middle away and hope you get something to hit.
Back-to-back strikeouts in the inning for Hand, and there are 2 away.
Well, Padres fans giving him a big hand. First 2 strikeouts. No dangerous hitters in this Marlins lineup.
Here's Brian Anderson now, 2 for 3 tonight. His 16th multi-hit game to tie Starlin Castro for the most on the club. And also tied with the Yankees' Miguel Andujar, who had 16 at the start of the night. But Andujar had a couple of hits in the 6-5 extra inning win as Teheran Guerrero loosens up. Boy, the Astros and the Yankees, when they get together right now, that's like must-see TV. 6-5 and 10. Really just, it's been an extension of that American League Championship Series.
Well, as it should be, I'll tell you. The Yankees now 34 and 17 on the season. The Astros 35 and 21. I was looking at some numbers from the Astros today. I mean, they are on a mission. It's hard to. They've given up the fewest runs in baseball, yet they're one of the top 3 teams in scoring runs.
Two-1 from Hand to Anderson. This one is popped up. Right field. Perella is out, but it's going to be Jankowski to put it away for out number 3. A 1-2-3 8th inning for Brad Hand. Padres lead it by a run. Games after this one between the Marlins and the Padres. It is Jose Urena going tomorrow night. Clayton Richard on the mound for the San Diego Padres. Marlins Live starts at 9:30 Eastern time. First pitch a little after 10 o'clock. Still looking for win number 1 this year for Jose Urena. You see the 4.69 ERA, but for the most part, as of late, he has pitched well enough to get that first win. I know that's not the be-all, end-all of how well a pitcher throws, but still would like to fill that column, put it that way. He gets set for his start tomorrow night, watching intently to see what the Padres offense is doing and what they may or may not do against Teheran Guerrero in his 26th game this year. A fireballing righty. trying to keep this at a 5-4 deficit. Spangenberg, Hosmer, and Perella due up for the Padres here in the 8th inning.
Yeah, I like that fireballing righty. I got a feeling tonight we may see a big number. Just a feeling.
I've seen him in the triple digits.
Well, we normally do. Right out of the chute, 100.
That's 100.
Really what I'm getting at is the conditions. You know, obviously in Miami and certainly on the East Coast, a little bit more humidity, the temperature a little bit. Like you get a crisp game like this at night.
Right.
Tend to pick up a few more MPHs on the velo. Following me?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Good.
Nice night here in San Diego. A little crisp, but refreshing. It's been nice here. Overcast today. Yesterday, boy, oh boy, what a beautiful day it was. My goodness, terrific Memorial Day afternoon here in San Diego. As Spangenberg sends one the other way, a leadoff hit here in the 8th.
MLB At Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Marlins home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV, Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
We were just talking about that. Spangenberg, Boyer, really chatting it up over there. Here's Eric Hosmer. Inside outs that one through the left side. And for a guy who was 6 for 36 in his last 9 coming in, that's a 3-hit night for Hosmer.
Well, the velocity gets the best of Hosmer. Just able to get it through the right side. He broke his bat on that one. To your point, 3rd hit of the night. No messing around. It's kind of interesting to me. It seems to me the Padres kind of are following the scouting reports that they're getting, almost executing them, immediately. They know Guerrero throws hard. They haven't seen him before. Nobody's taking a pitch. Everybody's coming out swinging the bat right out of the gate. Guerrero may have to go to that slider just to keep everybody off balance a little bit more.
Could use a strikeout or a ground ball right here. That one in the dirt. Nice job to keep it in front by Real Muto. A ball and no strikes to Jose Perella with Corey Spangenberg on at second. Hosmer over at first. Once again knocked down by Real Muto, 2-0. I guess there's an advantage because Real Muto knows what pitch is coming, but the reaction time for the catcher is not much more than it is for the hitter. Especially in a spot like this when there's 2 runners on in a 1-run game in the 8th inning. Every 90 feet is so precious. So a nice job by Real Muto to keep the first 2 in front. The 2-0 is tap foul, 2-1. Perella signed by the Yankees as a non-drafted free agent in 2006, traded to the Padres in November 2015. And the throw goes down to second. Leaping to keep it on the infield is Yadiel Rivera.
Now this slider in the dirt. Picked nicely by JT Realmuto. Quick throw down to second. Almost ended up in center field. And we talk about that aggressive base running throughout the first couple of games. Spangenberg there tried to anticipate the ball in the dirt and almost caught him off second base.
Upstairs. And that's ball 4. They are loaded.
Two base hits the other way and a walk.
That's the first walk issued by Marlins pitchers tonight. Straley went the first 5 2/3, didn't walk anybody. An inning in the third for Adam Conley, no walks, and now Juan Nieves out to talk with Theron Guerrero. Remember that stat that I made up? The capital K?
The big one, the one that matters more.
This one would be one right here.
Yeah, I got you.
Bases loaded, nobody out.
Well, you're trying to give yourself a chance in the 9th inning, and you certainly don't want things to get away any farther than the 1 run. You're absolutely right. I'm with you. I'll buy into your proposition.
Thank you.
Maybe different color ink or something.
I'm not quite certain what is going on here, but Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief, in to talk with the manager Andy Green. The third base umpire is also in talking with the home plate umpire in front of home plate.
Well, just to kind of take us back to yesterday's ball game, I know that we had a moment where Don Mattingly kind of busted out of the dugout yesterday and was furious with the umpires on the field. We came to find out that they were upset about enough time for the review. Now Don Mattingly's making his way out. I know it's been an oddity. I know the fans at home, Marlins fans, probably wondering what's going on. We're doing our best to kind of keep you up to date. You kind of see Marquez's hand, you know, start the clock or whatever the case may be, kind of keeping the game rolling. That's exactly what happened yesterday. I know we didn't necessarily pay that off.
Yeah, we didn't even know till after the game.
Right. Well, Don Mattingly was very, very upset because he wanted a few more seconds to see the replay, I believe it was, right? You have 10 seconds after it happened and felt like he had been a little shortchanged. He was rather heated.
Well, the guessing game continues. I'm not quite certain what the holdup is right now, but we've got Guerrero throwing tosses to stay loose. It may have something to do with the Padres bullpen phone, not 100% sure. Double-barreled action up. Yeah, I'm at a loss. And now Andy Green back out to talk with the umpires. You're right. I wonder if it's got, I'm just taking a shot in the dark here, but Villanueva is out in the on-deck circle. There's what, 3 phones, right? There's a replay phone, there's a bullpen phone, there's a press box phone. I wonder if the press box phone doesn't work. Again, just throwing this out there. If the press box phone doesn't work, you know, the old cat and mouse game of having the hitter announced or whatever, that could be it. I have no idea.
It's complicated.
I'm taking a guess. I don't know.
I'm with you. I don't have any better answers, so I'll jump on.
That one in there for a called strike. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's a 1-run game with the bases loaded and nobody out. Rafi Lopez. The infield is in. And 0-2. Now, this is something else that we're trying to figure out, right? So the signs are white behind home plate, and Maybe one of the infielders asked for them to change.
Absolutely. I would stand by that. That's a pretty good one. I'm with that. That's where I'm going. I've changed my vote. I loved your effort, but I'm
And then the signs change. I did see Alfonso Marquez when he was talking with Don Mattingly kind of give the...
They were waiting for the signs to change. The white was definitely bothering somebody on the infield, so if somebody said something, having a hard time picking up the baseball because the baseball would be hard to see out of the white sign. Pretty simple stuff. Yeah, there you go. Well done, crew.
See what happens? We put our minds together. Folks in the truck figure it out. That's what
trust the people behind the mics. That's right, not us.
Yeah, the other
farther
mics,
behind,
the
right?
mics that
like
are in our ears.
Down
Yeah.
the line, right?
We'll find out more in the post-game show. But as for right now, a 1-2 on the way to Lopez. Misses upstairs at 101 miles an hour, 2-2. Spangenberg led off the inning with a base hit. Hosmer a base hit. And Perella the walk. And now 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and you start to see what's happening. Some of the arms in the Marlins bullpen when those sliders don't exist. When your fastball command gets away from you, you really have nowhere else to go. You become highly predictable, and the hitters now are sitting on fastballs all the time. And for Guerrero, he's only thrown 1 slider in this sequence. He bounced it. JT picked it.
3-2 with nowhere to put Lopez. And it's 6-4 San Diego. And Don Mattingly out to make a change. So that is going to lead to another Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. A run in on a bases loaded walk. It'll be Harlan Garcia out of the Marlins pen. A bases loaded walk leading to that insurance run. Miguel Rojas into the ball game at third base, and Harlan Garcia out of the bullpen in his 11th game this season. An effort to manage the innings a little bit after he had been effective as a starter, but wanting to protect this young arm, so utilizing him out of the pen now. And in a big spot here, base is loaded, trying to keep this at a 2-run deficit, facing Christian Villanueva. And a base hit up the middle past the dive of JT Riddle. That is going to score a couple, and the Padres extend it to an 8-4 lead.
Well, in the first inning, 3 consecutive hitters to start the game reached base. It turned into a big first inning as 3 runs would score here in the 8th inning. Similar things starting to happen. 5 consecutive Padres have now reached base. As Villanueva wastes no time jumping on the first pitch. And we're right back through the box. Picking up a couple RBIs and a base hit. Of course, against the lefty. I told you the numbers.
Should have seen it coming.
Yeah, 18th RBI, 17th and 18th RBI versus the lefties. Along with 10 home runs, a batting average well above 350.
There's Freddie Galvis, still nobody out in the inning. This one smacked down the right field line, but into the seats. 0-2. 3 runs in for the Padres to stretch it to a 4-run lead. As Ali mentioned, they scored 3 in the first. Marlins got 1 back in the 4th. 3 of their own in the top of the 6th, but gave 2 right back on the 2-run home run by Franmil Reyes. And then a 3 spot here in the 8th with 2 on, and again, still nobody out. Well, the runner on second is Rafi Lopez. He belongs to Teheran Guerrero, who didn't register an out. Couple of hits at the moment. 3 runs, 2 walks. Galvis down the left field line, but into the seats. Fell shy of the Western Metal Supply Company building. If it had stayed in play, I think there's a pretty decent chance that Dietrich would have made a play on it, but nevertheless, a foul ball. Out to center field, Brinson. Off his glove. 1 run is going to come around to score. Villanueva moves up to second. And it's now 9-4 Padres.
Well, that's a hard hit ball off the bat of Galvis, but a catch that's got to be made in center field. You see the frustration right off the top of the glove. Padres pick up another run, and this inning is getting out of hand. Well, let's give you another look in real time. See Brinson, nice drop step, seems to have things under control. You see him decelerate as if he's got it in his back pocket.
That's Rojas at third, Rivera, and over to Bohr. A double play. Over to third goes Villanueva. Here's Matt Caesar at his first at bat in the 7th inning. foul ball there. 0-1. Kind of a mixed bag night out in center field for Lewis Brinson. That play a moment ago charged a base hit earlier in the game that got by him, but also a terrific defensive play toward the right center field gap. So it was one of those nights out in center.
It certainly is. You're right. I said it at the time. I stand by it. Best catch he's made all season long. The 2 missed plays have led to runs.
A strikeout to end the 8th inning. 9-4 as we go to the 9th. Near you, go to gocubota.com. By Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center, in pursuit of your cure, and by your South Florida Honda dealers. Padres have opened things up as we go to the 9th inning, scoring 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bases loaded walks, defensive miscues, all leading to a 5-run cushion for Kazuhisa Makita and the San Diego Padres. Makita will try to finish this one off and even up this series at a game apiece. This 4-game set here at Petco Park. The first pitch to JT Riddle in there for a called strike.
All right, Makita's unique. He does not throw it hard at all. I say not at hard. We're talking down there at the bottom of average pitch velocity.
Out to center field and sliding, and Margot unable to come up with it. Riddle is on his way to second, and now to third. He's going to get waved around by Freddie Gonzalez. Here's the throw.
Yeah.
Not in time. JT Riddle. Well, that's one way to draw it up.
This is amazing. His first hit as a big leaguer last year. I mean, the ball bounced in the dirt. He hit almost like a check swing roller. How about his first hit of 2018? All right, everything's right in the world now. All right, here you go. Line drive to center field. Margot goes shoestring catch. You make it, great. You miss it, uh-oh. Here's your uh-oh.
Well, that is a terrific way to start the inning.
Tell you what, his 2 big league seasons, he's had quite an introduction as far as the first hit is concerned.
An inside the park home run. That is one way to fill that column.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I don't think any of us did.
No, not at all. You know, I think if you, in this day and age of StatCast, as we watch Makita work, if you wanted to count the revolutions, you might be able to catch the spin rate on this guy. It's coming in rather slow.
Yeah, I don't think there's a spin rate. I think he possesses enough velocity to really get there.
Well, an inside the park home run for JT Riddle to lead things off here in the 9th inning. But still some work to be done, down 4. Did you have any inside the park homers?
No. I didn't get close ever. I had some triples that were, pretty clean triples, as far as the stand up at the time, but nothing that would have warranted even consideration.
This one into right field, and that is a sliding catch by Jankowski. Wait a second, though.
All right, there I stick my neck out so fast. I thought it bounced.
Yeah,
it did. Look at that.
I think
no doubt about it.
That going to be rather clear.
And based on the last play that we saw, that should be a home run when we come back.
The umpires placed the runner.
Well, we got to figure out a way to cut into this 4-run deficit here in the 9th.
Right.
That'll be 9-6 when they overturn this.
So the Marlins with this Ram review as the crew chief Alfonso Marquez and the first base umpire Ryan Blackney get together. Rojas heading back out and making his way to second base. They're showing it on the big boards out in left center field and in right. That's why you heard the collective "oh" here at Petco Park.
Oh,
and Alfonso Marquez is placing the runner back at first, and now Don Mattingly just wants a little clarification on that. No argument there.
Maybe he had a little bit of an argument. I mean, you had a right fielder who completely laid out. I mean, you can't assume that he's going to be able to make a throw.
I'm not saying there wasn't an argument to be made. I'm saying Don Mattingly did not make the argument.
I certainly understand your point. Yeah. I mean, I just merely, like, I thought, I kind of was anticipating a little bit more there.
Right. Well, the Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. This one perhaps far from over already. A wild 9th inning. 9-5. at Petco Park. We've seen a little bit of everything. Right after the inside the park home run, there was this. And Miguel Rojas thought that ball was going to be caught, I assume. Kind of slow into first as Jankowski caught it, but it turns out it was a trap. And after review, he will stay at first base. And another pitcher for the Padres as Kirby Yates takes over in this his 21st game this season.
Yeah, 1-1 in 39 career appearances here at Petco. He's done very, very well. 1 ERA this season.
So we'll see how much fight is left in the Marlins right now with a run in on the inside the park home run by JT Riddle. His first hit of the season. And now Lewis Brinson bats with one on and nobody out.
Well, Yates is limiting opponents to an .083 batting average with runners on base and has yet to allow a hit with runner in scoring position. Hand out of the ball game. Yates is their answer.
A ball and a strike to Brinson, who I'm sure would like to atone for the defensive miscue in the bottom of the 8th inning. Part of the reason why the Padres put 4 on the board in that 8th. Right now has the opportunity to keep the line moving, with Yadiel Rivera on deck. And a called strike 3, one away.
See the changeup from Yates, 88 miles an hour. Unable to defend with 2 strikes. First out here in the 9th.
Here's Yadiel Rivera. Rivera strikeout in the 2nd, walked in the 5th, and grounded back to the mound in the 7th. Two and 0. Yates is the 6th pitcher of the night for the Padres.
Four-seam fastball, does have a slider, but typically leans on his split change, as I said. We saw it to Brinson, 88 miles an hour. Lots of depth.
The 2-1, chop to short. Galvis for 1. Perella can't get the throw off.
Good slide by Rojas. Good hustle by Rivera. This game moving. Good hard slide there. Keeps things in order. Certainly another opportunity for the Marlins to add on.
So Cameron Maben, the last hope for the Marlins. Maben entered the game, got his first at bat back in the 7th inning. They don't hold Rivera with a 4-run lead and 2 outs in the 9th. Off he goes with the first pitch. A defensive indifference moves him into scoring position. Franmil Reyes with a home run in this ball game turned a 4-3 deficit into a 5-4 lead for the Padres. That was back in the 6th inning. Hit sharply too short. Galvis bobbles, throws, and gets Maben. That'll do it. The San Diego Padres a winner tonight in the second game of this 4-game series. A 9-5 victory. To even things up. 9 runs on 10 hits for the Padres, 5 runs on 9 hits, a couple of errors for the Marlins. Marlins Live post-game show is coming up live from San Diego after the break.